Good evening. Happy Wednesday, my winners and goal getters. Welcome to another episode of the Getting the Win Show. I am your host, Melissa T, the procrastination bully. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time, welcome. My mission with this show as a procrastination bully is to help women authors or aspiring women authors who have navigated a major transition or a trauma to find healing through writing and publishing their books. So, this particular show not only covers the brass tacks of book publishing, particularly the self publishing side, I do cover the traditional publishing stuff as well, but we tackle a lot of the brass tacks on the self-publishing side because that is a little bit faster. And I also tackle a lot of personal development stuff because that is also important, not only in the healing process, but even also in the process of becoming an author. That's why I'm the procrastination bully. I help folks get stuff done. That is my whole thing. So, welcome to the show if this is your first time tuning in. Now, in today's episode, I am doing precisely what I promised I was going to do last week, which is provide you with publishing platforms to help you take your book global. Obviously, the most obvious name in the game is Amazon.com and their publishing arm, Amazon KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. However, that is not the only option that is available. In fact, it is not necessarily the best option that is available. So today I've got 16 platforms for you, 5, 6, and 5, depending on the kind of book that you're releasing. I've got print, ebook, and audiobook. All right. So 5 print book distributors for global distribution, 6 ebook, I want to say, distribution channels, and 5 audiobook distribution channels. So 5 print, 6 ebook, 5 audiobook. All right. So we're going to jump into the print ones. Some of these are going to overlap if you've been following the show for a while. I had an episode where I talked about different book distribution options. So this is going to be a bit of a recap if you've been following the show for a while. But this first one I want to share is Ingram Spark. Of course, this is the other godfather in the book publishing world. Amazon is the big one because it is the main marketplace. It is the place where you can be most easily found. It's similar to being listed on Google, right? Like Amazon, if you have a book, if you are an author, you want your book on there. Even if you're not relying heavily on Amazon for your book sales numbers, you do want your book to be listed there because it is a marketplace. It is where a lot of people go to research books. Like it's the biggest search engine for that. And we'll get into Google, by the way, a little later in the list because they have a platform as well. All right. So again, Ingram Spark is this first one. And by the way, these are not in ascending or descending order. It's simply a list. So you can research these in more detail on your own. And if you're somebody that's like, I ain't got time for all that research, don't worry, I got you. In the description below this video, I have a link to another gentleman who is a wonderful expert on this. His name is Dale. So check that link in the description. I do have a link to his video, and he breaks down even more platforms. I'm giving you 16. If my memory serves, he gave 20 in his video. So if that's something you want to take a look at, it's a brief video, probably not as long as this one, but it's a brief video, and he's breaking down all the details, the royalties, any restrictions, all the things. The purpose of this video is to present these items to you for global distribution, just to open your mind so you know what options are available to you. All right. So for further details, you can choose to do the research yourself or click that link below to take a look at Dale's video. All right. But yeah, Ingram Spark is the other option outside of Amazon KDP for global distribution, because as I mentioned in that previous video, Amazon is only distributing on Amazon. Like that's it. If you want your book to be available in bookstores, available in libraries or other physical spaces, Amazon is not going to be your ideal. Okay. So Ingram Spark is what's going to get you there. And Ingram Spark actually distributes to Amazon as well. So be mindful of that. If you choose to publish your book on Amazon KDP as well as Ingram Spark, make sure you turn off the Amazon option on Ingram Spark so you don't have double distribution. I mentioned duplicate distribution in the last episode or 2 episodes before that, but I didn't get into why. The reason the double distribution could be an issue is in terms of your royalty payments. It's going to cause a bit of a muddled mess if you have duplicate distribution, okay? It slows the process down. And hey, procrastination bully, the one thing we're not going to do is slow down accounts receivable, okay? Like we want that dough, okay? We want the bag. So Ingram Spark is one of your options to expand the reach and distribution of your book on a global scale. As you see in the parentheses there, it distributes to Walmart, to bookstores, and even to school systems. So going back to that foundation pillar, if you're clear on what you want your book to do, you're clear on your book's purpose, and you want your book to be in those places, Ingram Spark is a great option for you for that. Okay. Another option for print distribution is Draft to Digital. Now, one quick thing with Draft to Digital, it is a great source for both print and ebook distribution. Okay. Both options are available. I mentioned the ebook part in this section because, to my point again about that Godfather Amazon, they're only going to distribute ebooks to their Kindle platform. They're exclusive. They're not dealing with any other devices, any other e-readers. Draft to Digital is your gateway for that in terms of ebooks. So if that's something you want to do, that's an option. In terms of print, Draft to Digital is also a great option for further global distribution outside of Amazon. Okay. Another distribution option is Book Vault. These guys are very heavily concentrated in the UK, but they also distribute to the US, Australia, and Canada. So if you want your book to go to those particular countries, Book Vault is an option for you. I will say it is pricier. They have a subscription model in addition to some royalties, if I'm not mistaken. But their subscription, if you want all the bells and whistles, is pricey. They're talking 89, I want to say 89.99 pounds per month if you want their pro plan. So kind of pricey. However, as you can see down here as well, you're getting not only global distribution, but they are a distributor that allows both color and black and white pages in the same book if you have a book that requires that. So say, for instance, you're doing a photo book and you're featuring images, but perhaps there's some pages where it's going to be all text. Perhaps that's something you want to do for your book. That's an idea you have. Or if you're doing a memoir that is predominantly black and white pages, but you have a few key pages that are going to be in the center of your book that feature color photos, Book Vault is a distributor that allows for that kind of option. Okay. The next print distributor, Lulu Global. So also international if you want that global distribution option. And they offer 80% royalties, which is pretty good. And of course, when I say royalties, we're talking like net profits. So after all the necessary parties take their cut of it off the top, net profits, you collect 80% royalties there, okay? The beauty with Lulu Global is that they support a lot of niche things that you can print. So if you're somebody that prints low content books or low content items like calendars, they're an option. If you want to do something different than an average novel, like a graphic novel, if you're somebody that's into that, you want to do comics, Lulu Global is your go-to for that and other alternate book designs. Now, this next one is also part of the Lulu family, but it's slightly different in terms of the business model, Lulu Direct. The beautiful thing about this is that you go straight to your reader. Here's the thing about Godfather Amazon that is super annoying for anybody that's an author. And if you're somebody that has published a book before, you're going to feel my pain on this. Amazon hoards the data. They're the ones that know who buy the books. They don't do direct, is that you have direct access to your readers. Their email address, their contact info, you're going direct to them. So you can create a storefront, and then Lulu Direct allows you to distribute your books through them. They do the fulfillment. So it's similar to drop shipping for folks who sell merch. They handle the fulfillment. You are directly with your readers. You collect the data. You get to interact with readers. You get to build your email list. Remember, we talked about book marketing and how important building an email list is going to be for when you decide to launch your book, right? So Lou Direct connects with different online storefronts. So if you're somebody that wants to create a storefront, you want to do online merch to go with your book, perhaps you have some complimentary swag. I'm somebody that's like that as well. I have my Getting the Win Gear storefront where I sell merch. I sell shirts, mugs, all the things. You see one of the mugs back there. And in addition, you know what I mean? I have the Procrastinator's Journal. So there are times when I do my workshops or in terms of the retreat, there are times when I will have swag like that. And it's great to create custom packages for your readers to build up that fandom. Okay. So this is an option for that. That rounds out the print, folks. So now we're getting into the ebook distribution list. This is 6 of them. So buckle up. All right. Apple Books for Authors. This is a slept on platform because if you're somebody that has an Apple product, I'm sure you are 100% loyal to Apple, right? Like it is a whole pseudo cult. No shade to Apple. Trust me, I used to be an Apple user. I get it. But this particular audience is great because they are loyal to their Apple products. And the beauty is all Apple devices come with this. They come with Apple Books, like all of them, the iPad, the iPhone, all the things. They come with the Apple Books app. So you have a built-in readership that you can then market to by putting your book on this platform. Okay, as you can see in the captions, 70% royalties over there. Another source is Barnes and Noble Press. These guys too, believe it or not, have a loyal fandom. The Barnes and Noble Nook is not necessarily as popular as the Amazon Kindle, but the Barnes and Noble Nook, whoever is loyal to the Nook, they stay loyal to the Nook and to Barnes and Noble. So this is another audience that you could be leaving on the table and the money that they would be willing to invest in your book. Okay. As you can see in the caption, 70% royalty over there as well. Quick note on the double distribution thing. If you're distributing through Draft to Digital, make sure you turn the Barnes and Noble Nook part off because Draft to Digital is a distributor that sends your stuff to the Nook if you upload that kind of file. But if you're doing Barnes and Noble Press and Draft to Digital, make sure you turn off the Barnes and Noble Nook option on Draft to Digital so you don't have the duplicate thing going on, okay? The next one under ebook distribution, this is another one that is not very heavily mentioned here in the US, but is known on the global scale. Kobo, like that device, like they have their loyal audience too. And as you see in the captions there, that distributes to Canada, Europe, Asia, and to libraries in the same way that Ingram Spark does. So again, with that duplicate thing, if you're going to go with Kobo as well as Ingram Spark, just make sure you turn something off. Make sure you're not having, Ingram Spark distribute to libraries. You're going to use the Kobo option for that, okay? But Kobo Writing Life, that is the platform if you want to distribute to the Kobo device and to those countries, to readers in those regions, I should say. All right, so that is an option for you. Your next ebook option, Publish Drive. Now this one distributes heavily to India and China. So the 2 most populous countries in the world, right? If this is something you want for your book, by all means, look into Publish Drive, all right? And then another one that is Europe specific or Europe heavy is StreetLib. That is another option. So just wanted to make sure you have all of your global options as ebook distribution goes. And there's a lot of them, as you can see. So if you were interested in publishing a book and your mind only went to Amazon, now you know the world is your oyster. There are plenty of places for your book to go. You're not bound to just that. Let's dive into the audiobook distribution now, the final 5, okay? Spotify for authors, this is a thing. In the same way that Spotify has a platform for content creators. If you're someone who perhaps is thinking about also creating a podcast to go with your book, perhaps, maybe you're building an entire business model around your book, going back to that foundation step of creating a clear purpose for your book. Or if you have a podcast now and you're considering that, like Spotify wanted to make sure they touched on everything. So they have something specifically for authors too. So Spotify for Authors is a platform option for you. There is another one that is connected to that, which is Voice by in Audio. Okay, that is another platform that you can use to distribute your audiobook. Okay, the difference between Spotify for Authors and Voice by in Audio is that, like Amazon, Spotify for Authors is only distributing to Spotify, nothing else. They're not distributing the audio content on any other platform. It is exclusive to them. Okay. The difference with Voice by an Audio is that it's not exclusive to Spotify. They distribute to other platforms as well. Another audiobook platform is Authors Republic. Now, the beauty with Authors Republic is that, like ACX, which I'll describe in a second, so stick with me, Authors Republic includes a voice talent marketplace. So if you don't feel like your voice is a good fit for your own book, we all have our limits, right? Sometimes it's better to get a narrator. Even some celebrities don't narrate their own books. Sometimes they'll hire voice talent to do it, okay? So that's the beauty with Authors Republic if you wish to distribute your audiobook on that platform. Now, I mentioned ACX because ACX is the Amazon platform for Audible. ACX is the marketplace. So not only is it where you would upload your audiobook to be distributed on Audible, but if you want to find voice talent for your audiobook to put on Audible, ACX is another marketplace where you would go to find voice talent in addition to Authors Republic, okay? ACX had been the godfather for the longest, but as you're seeing here, there are now plenty of other audiobook options out there. I'll mention to stick around about the Google thing, right? Google Play Books. Google Play Books. Now, they're also an option for if you want ebook distribution as well. So don't sleep on Google Play Books, and a lot of people do. Now, one thing I learned from Dale is that the platform, the user interface can be a bit clunky. However, is Google. So the beauty of being on their platform is searchability. In the same way that making sure your book is listed on Amazon is a great idea because millions of people shop on Amazon, search for books on Amazon, being listed on Google is a huge advantage that comes with having your book distributed by Google Play Books, whether as an audiobook or as an ebook. It's SEO. You get to be listed in the general search as well. You get that advantage, much in the same way that having a YouTube channel helps you because Google owns YouTube and they're going to prioritize content creators that have YouTube channels. They're going to make their stuff more searchable, right? They're going to make their stuff easier to find. So that is the advantage of listing your audiobook with Google Play Books or having your ebook listed with Google Play Books. The other advantage with having your ebook distributed there and having it searchable is that people can also, the content from your ebook will also be searchable, not just your title and your cover and all that, but even the very content of your ebook. That's metadata. So that kind of stuff can be searchable on the web as well. Your ebook will come up. Snippets of your book can come up. That's a great advantage, okay? And lastly, for audiobook distribution, we've got a twofer, PayHip and BookFunnel. These are two separate platforms. The reason they're together and the reason why they work is that this is a direct-to-reader business model, similar to the one I mentioned before with the ebook situation. PayHip is the storefront. That would be your storefront for your audiobooks. So that's where the people would come. They see the book, the audiobook cover, they see the description, they make the purchase. That's how they do that, okay? Then with the BookFunnel, that is the audio delivery system. That is how they're going to see all of the audio files for your ebook, your audiobook rather. That's where they download all of the files for your audiobook. Now, is it possible to put your whole audiobook on PayHip just directly in the storefront? Yes, that's possible as one big file, However, that doesn't create the best user experience for your reader because they're going to have to sit through the entire audiobook. And as I mentioned in a previous episode, some audiobooks can run up to 7 or 8 hours, depending on how much content is in it. It's much easier for the reader if they have the individual audio files for each chapter. Okay. It makes for a better experience for them, particularly based on behavior styles. You guys always hear me talk about the 4 behavior styles of the flight assessment, right? Your pilots are not sitting through 8 straight hours of your audiobook. They don't have the patience. They don't have the time either. They're busy, right? So they're going to want to be able to skim, and it makes life easier if you do it like that. So Book Funnel will be very instrumental in that process for you. Okay. So now that I've run through all of those, that was pretty quick. It's all right if you need to go back and, run this video back and watch and get those names, no problem. You'll see all of them in their captions. So you'll be able to grab that. And of course, as I mentioned earlier in the video, if you want to watch Dale's explanation of all these different platforms, that link is in the description, so you'll be able to watch, right? I wanted to wrap this video up with another call to action, another reminder of how important it is to get your book out into the world. If you tuned into last week's episode, I had talked about the health challenge that I was experiencing that caused me to go offline for a week, right? Like, consistency is key. I didn't like missing that episode, right? But I talked about the importance of using your breath to fuel your voice because the world needs your voice. And in this case, we're talking about books. Books can be written very quickly through voice recording. So you can interpret that whether symbolically, meaning your voice is in the form of a book, or literally by voice recording your book and creating an audiobook. But either way, use your breath intentionally to fuel your voice to get your story out there. Because your story, your healing, your transition, your experience can be someone else's survival guide, right? I mentioned that in the previous episode. This call to action is a reminder. Honor yourself so that you can honor your assignment. Okay? Honor yourself so you can honor your assignment. Here's what I mean by this. A story recently came out of a wonderful young lady by the name of Quita Cole. I want to say her last name is Cole. It could be Coles with an S, but I do believe it's Quita Cole. She was a business owner, entrepreneur. She had her own restaurant, and it was a fresh to order soul food restaurant, QC, out of Nashville, Tennessee. Okay. This woman was a dynamo. And notice the verb tense I'm using. Was. She was a dynamo. You've likely heard the story, but if you haven't, I'm going to go over it here just to really bring this point home. Honor yourself so you can honor your assignment. Quita passed away at 40 years old. Sis was working. And she was somebody that was hustling hard. She worked 7 days a week in that restaurant. Created a wonderful experience for all those who attended the restaurant. There have been millions of comments now on the news of her passing. World Star Hip Hop published the story that she passed away. Now, we're talking about this the week of the end of June and beginning of July. Quita passed away back in April, but the story is out now and the world is talking about it. So we are now back on the subject of the danger of hustle culture and having to work 7 days a week and not allowing yourself time and all the things. And if I'm not mistaken, she was also a mom. Now, for a little bit of background, Quita grew up with a single mom who worked very hard to make ends meet. And Quita had siblings. She grew up cooking for her sibling. That's how she developed the skill of cooking, which elevated her, to become a chef in her career. But listen, honor yourself so that you can honor your assignment. Okay. This goes back to what I was talking about last week about using your voice. It ties in a little bit. Honor yourself, meaning follow the signals that your body is giving you. The reason I had to go offline was because of a health challenge that was 10 years in the making because I didn't honor myself. Okay? So this is not me talking to you from some high place. I'm speaking from experience. Do not neglect yourself and do not neglect your voice. Okay? Honor yourself so that you can honor your assignment. Quita, bless her soul, she had finally posted, her final post on social media said, finally gonna take 3 days off. Quita needs rest. Those were the last words she posted on social media. She lied down intending to take a nap and never woke up. Her heart stopped. Again, that was back in late April that she passed away. Millions of people are now talking about it at the end of June, beginning of July. Honor yourself so that you can honor your assignment. Sis clearly had a wonderful restaurant. She clearly had a great business. Like, there was demand there. But man, working 7 days a week, getting a little bit of rest, but not enough for your body to heal, that's difficult. So make sure you honor yourself so you can honor your assignment and honor your story. Because remember, the mission of this show is to help you get your story out into the world so that it can be somebody else's survival guide. Since you've already gone through the major life transition or navigated and healed from your trauma, or you're navigating through the trauma and still want to share your story as you're learning out loud, by all means, though, honor yourself as you honor your assignment. Both are important. It's not just about your do. Your who is also important. The world needs you, not just what you produced. What you produce is important, but the world needs you too. Because remember, you are a hashtag luxury item. Y'all ain't heard me use that term in a minute. You are a hashtag luxury item, as is the book that is in you. Both are valuable. Both are needed. Honor yourself so that you can honor your assignment. Okay? Hopefully this video was beneficial for you. All right. Let me run through the comments real quick. Thank you guys so much for tuning in that have left comments. I ran through the list of the distribution channels so quickly. Shout out to Rosalie and Miss Sonia and Miss Laverne and Miss Lamosley. You guys are always tuning in, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. I'm finding your topics very interesting and informative. Thank you, Miss Sonia. I appreciate you. Shout out to Miss Laverne. Wednesday's blessings. Same to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Lamosley taking notes. He's always taking notes and tuning in. Appreciate you for that. And yes, Miss Rosalie, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Absolutely. But yeah, hopefully you guys found this video beneficial. Again, tune into Dale's video in the description if you want some more details. But be sure, if you haven't yet, if you're tuning in for the first time, you're brand new, or you haven't subscribed yet, why not? Be sure to subscribe, y'all. Just take a look down below at the ticker. You'll be able to subscribe on YouTube at Getting the Win. Follow me on Instagram, Pinterest, and Threads at Getting the Win Show. If you're somebody that's on LinkedIn, you can follow me, just Melissa Thomas, 2 L's and 2 S's. I got dibs on that name on LinkedIn. So you can find me there. And then I'm also now on TikTok, brand spanking new, y'all, brand new. Melissa T Writes. That is my handle over on TikTok. So yeah, Find me on all the socials, reach out to me. If you have any questions, put them in the comments and I'm happy to answer them. Or if you have any questions you want to DM me on Instagram, by all means, follow me first at Getting the Win Show and then shoot me a DM. Let me know what your question is and I'm happy to answer it. Okay. But in the meantime and between time, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's edition of the Getting the Win Show. I have been your host, Melissa T, the Procrastination Bully. I pray you have a great and productive rest of your Wednesday and a great and productive rest of your week. Peace.